when the future Buddha produced the mind of body for the first time. He had passions, but when he sat down on the seat of enlightenment and during the last watch of the night, he destroyed all his passions and all the traces. Question. Which is the correct theory? Answer. All having come from the mouth of the Buddha, none of them is incorrect. But they must be interpreted. Criticism of the first theory. In the sravakas system, the Buddha, by the power of his skillful means, pretends to assume human qualities. He undergoes birth, old age, sickness, cold and heat, hunger and thirst, etc. As no human is born without passions, the Buddha must likewise conform to human qualities and seem to have passions. Under the king of trees, first outwardly, he crushed Mara's armies. Then inwardly, he destroyed his enemies that are the fetters. Having destroyed his external and internal enemies, he realized supreme complete enlightenment. Everyone, seized by faith, said to themselves, "Here is a man who has accomplished great things. Therefore we also should realize such things." Single quote. Criticism of the second and third theories. Some tell us, for a long time already the Buddha is without passion. When he met the Buddha Jan Teng or acquired the conviction that things do not arise, he destroyed his passions completely. But this is again skillful. 1c means to lead bodhisattvas to rejoice. If the bodhisattva Sakyamuni had long ago destroyed all his passions, what more did he need to do at the time of his enlightenment? Question. But the Buddha has all kinds of things to do. Cutting the fetters is only one. He still has to purify the Buddhafields, ripen beings, etc. All things that he has not yet done. When he has completely fulfilled all these things, he will be called Buddha. Answer. If that is so, why did the Buddha say at the moment of his enlightenment, "I have destroyed the fetters. This is my last existence"? How can a man who no longer has any fetters be reborn? Question. When he acquired the conviction that dharmas do not arise, he always acquires a body born of the fundamental element and becomes transformed. Answer. As to transformation, it is the rule that first there is a master of emancipation and only then an emanation. If the future Buddha cut all the fetters at the time when he acquires anutpatti-ka-dharmaksanti, he would be abandoning his fleshly body at the moment of death and would no longer have a real body. Who then would be transforming? This is how we know that after having acquired anutpatti-ka-dharmaksanti, he has not eliminated the fetters. Criticism of the fourth theory. Furthermore, the sravakas say, the bodhisattva does not cut the fetters until after he has seated himself on the seat of enlightenment. This is a serious error. Why? In your system, it is said that the bodhisattva, after having traveled through the 3 asamkhya kalpas of his career, must travel through a further additional 100 kalpas. However, ever in possession of the knowledge of his former abodes, he remembers that at the time of the Buddha Kya-cho, he was the bhiksu Yu to Lo and was already practicing the attributes of the Buddhas. Now, during his practices of austerities, why would he have followed the wrong path of asceticism for the duration of 6 years by eating only 1 sesame grain, 1 single grain of rice, every day? The bodhisattva in his last lifetime cannot be deceived even for a single day. Then how would he be so for 6 years? It is the same for his reactions of hatred. In times gone by, the bodhisattva was a venomous snake. Hunters flayed him without him feeling the least hatred. How then would he have hated the group of 5 in his last lifetime? Thus we know that the sravakas interpret the mind of the Buddha wrongly. It is out of skillful means that he wanted to destroy the heretics and that he gave himself up to austerities for 6 years. You claim that he was angry with the group of 5. That too is skillful means. These were the traces of passions and not the passions. 2. Report on the correct theory. Now we must speak truthfully. when the bodhisattva attained the conviction that dharmas do not arise, his passions have already been exhausted, but his traces have not yet been eliminated. It is as a result of these traces that he assumes a birth. Obtaining a body born of the fundamental element, he can transform himself at will. Out of loving kindness and compassion for beings, and also in order to fulfill his earlier vows, he returns to this world to perfect or acquire yet other Buddha attributes. Once the 10th bhumi has been completed, he sits on the seat of enlightenment and, by the power of his unhindered liberation, he attains omniscience, the knowledge of all the aspects, and destroys the traces of the passions. 3. Criticism of two Mahayana theories. First theory. Passions and traces are destroyed simultaneously on the obtaining of anutpatikaksanti. Some Mahayanists say, at the moment when the bodhisattva obtains the conviction that dharmas do not arise, all his passions and traces of passion are destroyed. This also is wrong. In fact, if were all destroyed, the bodhisattva would not be different from the Buddha and, furthermore, would not assume a body born from the fundamental element. 2ay. Because it is at the moment when the bodhisattva obtains the anutpatikadharmaksanti that he abandons his body of birth and obtains the body born of the fundamental element. Second theory. Passions and traces are destroyed simultaneously the night of enlightenment. If someone tells us, the bodhisattva should be seated on the seat of enlightenment for all his passions and traces of passion to be destroyed, this statement would be wrong as well. Why? If, at the moment of his enlightenment, the bodhisattva still retained the three persistence: desire, hatred and delusion, how could he have previously gathered innumerable Buddha attributes? He would be like a poisonous pot from which nobody eats even if it is filled with nectar. In fact, the bodhisattva accumulates the very pure qualities at the moment when he becomes Buddha. If, at that moment, he was still mixed with the three poisons, how would he be able to perfect the pure attributes of the Buddhas? Question. By contemplating the true nature of dharmas and by cultivating the mind of compassion, he weakened the three poisons and then was able to accumulate the pure qualities. Answer. By weakening the three poisons, he could only obtain an existence as a noble Chakravartin king or king of the gods, but that would be insufficient to acquire the mass of Buddha qualities. It is necessary to destroy the three poisons but not to have eliminated the traces, in order to be able to accumulate the qualities. Moreover, there is a weakening of the three poisons in the person detached from desire who has destroyed the fetters related to the lower level but who still keeps the fetters relative to the higher levels. There is also weakening of the three poisons in the sratapana who has suppressed the fetters to be destroyed by the seeing of the truths, but has not suppressed the fetters to be destroyed by meditation. Finally, as the Buddha said, one is sakkadhyagaman by means of the destruction of three fetters: desire, hatred and delusion. But in order to accumulate the Buddha attributes, it is not enough to weaken the three poisons as you have said. They must be destroyed. Thus, at the moment when the bodhisattva obtains the conviction that dharmas do not arise, he destroys the passions, and at the moment when he becomes Buddha, he destroys the traces of passion. This is the correct theory.